Welcome to episode 13 of a Target Acquired podcast. This is Swooper. I will be your host today. This is part 2 of our AdeptiCon adventure, and it's time for us to discuss the con itself, events, location, and how we felt about all the changes from last year. With me today, I have
Sean, aka Reynolds Rap.
And Gary, aka Crossroads.
All right. Well, we went through all the reveals and everything, all the AMG specific reveals and stuff last time. So this time we're going to go into all the events that we attended. We did quite a lot, maybe a little too much. So we attended all the MCP events. We did singles. So how did we all do in singles?
Well, why don't you start with that one?
I went 2-2 in singles. I won my first two, lost my last two, but I lost my last two by I just needed to make a die roll and I would have won the game, but they were just the dice were not on my side for those last finishing rolls that would have put me over. So I had very close games. I really had great opponents. Singles event, good time for me.
All right, I'll go ahead and hit it next. So I ended up going 3-1. I assumed I was out of the running as I lost my second game, but I guess I was able to claw back and finished in 10th overall, and that was the top 16 that they took for the cuts.
And for me, I ended up losing my first game to a mirror match against a player named Graham, who ended up going 4-0, so I can't be mad at that one. But after losing my first game, I managed to win the next three, which put me into 7th place, which also put me in the top 16 too.
All right, so 2 out of 3 of us made top 16 cut. That is pretty darn good. So I think overall the singles event was a pretty solid success for us.
At least the Heat one was.
Heat 1 was, yes. We'll get to. Oh, I guess, yeah. Do you guys want to talk about your Heat 2 at all? Because I was not there.
Sure. So I took exactly one loss on Heat 1, and first round of the top 32 cut, I had to play the same individual again, and ended up losing because Steve can't kill grunts. That's it. I mean, it literally came down to one dice roll.
They were tough grunts. They're Hydra grunts.
Yep. But we were playing a wedding party, and I just needed him not to score 2 points, and he got 2 points because those grunts didn't want to die.
Out of the singles, all the matches that we played and stuff, did you guys see anything different, or was there just a lot of the same stuff? Because I didn't really have that kind of experience. I felt like it was kind of pretty much all over the place. When it come to affiliations, I expected a lot of Midnight Suns, and I think I played one Midnight Sun player. And other than that, I think I played all different affiliations the whole time.
Well, I'm going to let Gary cover his first, and then I'll weigh in on that.
Yeah, so going into the top 32, I won my first game against a gentleman named Tyler playing Asgard. It was an amazing first game because, I went into the top 32 a little bit nervous, and it was really awesome playing against Tyler. He was an awesome opponent, and it was a really close game. And then the next two games did not go my way at all. So I played against Midnight Suns, and I played against Apocalypse. And it was not a good time for criminals. And I ended up going 1-2 and ended day 2 at 24th place.
So you were brought up affiliations a second ago, John, and I just want to break down. In the top 32, the most played affiliation was Criminal Syndicate at 6 players. Next was Avengers at 5, Midnight Suns at 4, Spider Foes at 4, Hydra at 3, Inhumans at 3, and Apocalypse at 3, and then everything else is 1s and 2s.
That's crazy that there wasn't there was no affiliation in double digits.
It is. Now, here's the other skew to that. I played 4 games the first heat, and then 3 games in the top 32. So 7 games total, and 5 of them I had to play against Midnight Suns. So when you asked me, did I see any diversity? No, I saw Immortal Hulk 5 effing times in a row, and I was done with it.
So there were 6 Midnight Sun players, and you played 5?
So
there was a lot of crime.
I would have liked to play anything except for Midnight Suns. It's just, I don't know what was up with Longshanks. It just was like, no. We're going to teach you a lesson.
Yeah, I think my first one it was Spider Foes. I played a Midnight Suns player. And I can't even remember the other ones. I think I played an Avengers player. I don't remember repeating anything, so I thought that was pretty cool. It's nice to play different stuff a whole bunch.
And, my dice were not good. If anyone watched our most recent battle report with featuring Gary for the first time in Black Order, my dice were not his. They were so bad that I actually had a judge during the top 32 come over, and I'm not gonna say which judge it was because I don't want to throw names out. So tickets. We didn't really break that down. I guess we can cover that later. But everything was given to you through prize wall tickets, basically. This was a GT level event, so basically they gave you enough tickets to buy 6 dice for just playing in the event, but you didn't have to buy dice. You could buy whatever you want. we had lower scale tickets which were just regular tickets, and then you had this thing called golden tickets, and they were worth double essentially what the regular tickets were worth. I had a judge walk over and look at what was happening on my table for maybe 3 minutes, and he just slid a golden ticket at me unprompted
Lucky
because
you.
well, not really lucky because I was playing in an Avengers Mirror. This is one of the 2 games I did not play against Midnight Suns, and I had Sam charge because he was using Steve's leadership, so he could charge on turn 1, charge up, and through one shield throw, dazed Shang-Chi at full health, which ricocheted into Iron Man and dazed him at full health. This is a 4 dice attack. He did 8 and 7 on 4 dice. And I'm like, all right, dude, you just straight win. Cool, awesome.
It's
And
hard to come back from that sometimes.
it was impossible to come back from that. I lost because naturally the next turn I lost Shang and I lost Iron Man, so I was already half my roster was dead at the beginning of 2, off of just Sam, fucking Sam. That is embarrassing, but it was so outrageous that yeah,
I
Judge
mean,
gave me a
he's
ticket
got
for
the
it.
best shield throw, so
It's still just 4 dice.
I know it's pretty good.
And Shang-Chi's counting blanks, and he's just like, no, I'll just roll all skulls. I'm like, cool, all right, we're good here.
One of the crazy things that I see is out of the top 32, only one game was played with Asgard.
Was that Mike playing it?
No. Well, Mike played it. He was the other player, but he played Avengers for I think the majority of the top 32. The one Asgard game was my first game, my first round opponent.
And then he said, "I'm done with this."
Yeah, he ended up dropping, but nobody else played Asgard, which is crazy because if you would have asked me 3 months ago,
Those nerfs, man, those nerfs hit the players, and they're like, it's like that Toy Story meme, you know. I'm done with you, and just throws that character away. Well, since you guys made it into the top 32, that left me as the solo timeline player. So that timeline was day 2.
yes,
Timeline was day 3.
well, it was Saturday.
It was Saturday because we played Heat 1 on Thursday, then we played the top 32 playoffs on Saturday, and on Friday is when we played doubles.
Okay. So then I played timeline on Friday.
Saturday.
Okay. So I played Timeline on Saturday. It's all a big old jumbled mess of what days we did what. So I played Timeline last year and I liked it a lot. I had a really good time with it last year. It was a long day last year, but it was a great idea, a great event. I liked the characters and stuff. This year, not so much. It was not my favorite event. At the same time, I literally went 0-3. Like I ate it bad. It was so rough. There wasn't even like, oh, I got close kind of thing. Like I got destroyed.
No, you got close in your 3rd game, right? And then you just let the guy win on time?
I did. I was having a very friendly game because I was like, I'm just playing for tickets. And like, I went through the singles events and everything. I only needed 2 more wins to get all the things that I wanted to get. And then we get to like the last game. I'm like, we're just playing for tickets, man. So like, I don't like take your time. You're a new player. This is fine. And then it turns out that like, letting him take his time ended up costing me a golden ticket. But he is a very nice guy. It was definitely like, could be a little newer to the game and stuff, but it was all fine. It was not my favorite event, but it was still good. But like I said, I think maybe it's not my favorite event because I just like got my shit kicked in the whole time.
Yeah, I've been there, done that.
Yeah. And then from there, me and Sean played in doubles. We took Dark Dimension into doubles, and I really like doubles. I think doubles is a lot of fun. We were on stream for the first game, so that was pretty cool. And I think we had generally like pretty good games, except for the fact that Weapon X did nothing until the last game. He was in every single game, but every single game it was just like rolls horribly for everything and just dies and just comes back, which I guess was his job.
Yeah, I mean, we would have liked him to have taken someone out with him before dying, but
Right.
he never was.
No, he was not showing up. However, the last game he showed up hard. When he
Which
showed
is a
up,
game we did not need him to show up in.
correct, but he dazed like 3-4 characters in 2 different turns by just like going nuts on his flip side. So I really liked it. I had a lot of fun playing it. Lots of different teams we played against. We have Avengers, Guardians, X-Men.
Well, we had X-Force first round.
X-Force was the other one. Yeah, that was it.
X-Force, X-Men, Guardians, and
Avengers.
which I felt really bad on that Guardians Asgard game because this was 3rd round and no one had explained to our opponents that they have to pick one affiliation, and it felt super awkward to explain that to them.
Yeah, doubles is a really cool format, but doubles is also a format that I think you have to practice. Like you have to play it a couple of times, you have to practice it, you have to know. But once you know, it's so easy. but it is very weird if you haven't done it before. Like a plus or minus 2 points, adding 4 points to your roster. Each of you only has 7 characters instead of 10, but you still have to make a complete affiliation, which means you have to balance who takes what, which really worked out for me and Sean because I literally took 2 characters all 4 games because it just balanced out that if I stayed at that 11-point range, I was always plus or minus 2 basically within whatever mission we were playing. So I played Dormammu and Weapon X, and that was it.
And we would have gone undefeated if Iron Man had killed a flipped Thor off of Helios with 17.
Oh my gosh, that was a bad dice roll, and we
That was-
recaled it
We
too.
recaled it and it didn't get any better.
Nope, it didn't. That was
I
that was
swear,
unfortunate.
the more dice you throw, the worse the dice rolls get.
Right. So we went 3-1 for doubles, which was really good. I thought we placed. I thought we were gonna place. We unfortunately got knocked out because of tiebreakers, and we were only under third place by a strength of schedule of 0.02. Like the most minuscule little fraction that took us out of getting a medal. But next year, Sean, we're getting it.
Prime time.
That's right. I want medals. And then I had enough of events and I had no time in the hall, so I decided not to play an affiliation so I could wander the hall a little bit. Gary did basically the same thing. Sean decided he was going to stick to affiliation battle. How was that?
Well, it went pretty well. I went 3-0 and of course did not place because strength of schedule is a terrible freaking tiebreaker. Let me just take a quick check real quick. Yes, I scored more points than anyone else in the entire um, affiliation battle. Strength of schedule is a terrible tiebreaker, especially when you only play 3 rounds, because there's no way that you can influence the outcome of your games.
Right.
So you can just do as best as you can, but when you know there's going to be 6 undefeateds, it's all up to who you beat.
Right.
And that's just like
it's not even up to who you beat. It's also up to like how did your opponents do after you?
well, right. It's who you beat and did they beat other people.
Right.
And considering it was the last day of the con, I think like my first round opponent was like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go get some time in the dealer hall. So that just tanked it right there. I really hate strength of schedule. I really wish there was a better system than that.
Yeah, it's hard when it's only 3 rounds.
It is. I mean, truly, the only way to get around needing tiebreakers is to just go to true undefeated, right?
Yeah.
But the con closed at 3, so they did not have time to do 4 or 5 rounds.
Yeah, Sunday's a rough day to do some of those things because I mean when they close too, woo.
Yeah, they're literally like, as they're checking you out, they're literally packing up the stuff behind the register like on the dot. They have 2 hours to clear out that hall after it closes. They have to be out by 5.
Like a Looney Tune cartoon up in that place, man.
I was worried every time I stood up to like reach across the table, they were going to take the chair I was sitting in.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that was all of our MCP events at AdeptiCon. I just wanted to take a moment to thank all of our listeners for tuning into episode 13 of the Target Acquired podcast. This week we're doing something special. We're going to be doing a special giveaway to celebrate the Target Acquired Gaming YouTube channel for hitting 100 subscribers. So we have crossed the 100 mark. We're going to be giving away a Mojo Ball scenario pack as well as a Sunspot and Warlock character pack. So to enter this, all you have to do is 1, be subscribed to us on our YouTube channel, and 2, leave a comment on this podcast episode. We're going to draw a winner picked about 2 weeks after the air date of this episode. All right, so outside of MCP events, we also did a couple painting classes. So we all took a painting class on how to paint white armor, looking into, events like Shatterpoint that has stormtroopers. How'd you guys like that painting class?
I really enjoyed it. It was nice, like 2.5 hour class. I think mine came out pretty well. I was pretty excited about it. I think I'm probably gonna say his name horribly wrong, but Serastros. He's the guy who does all the stuff you've seen for like a bunch of stuff for AMG and whatnot. He's a very good painter, super nice guy, like the nicest guy.
Yeah, and I think your stormtrooper actually ended up on his Instagram page.
It did because I'm so cool.
And you're the only one that had a dry brush to properly shade your model with.
Nobody told you not to bring the equipment.
I also did a painting class on wet blending, so hopefully that gives me a little helpful hand on getting some of these cloaks and capes to look a little smoother on my MCP models.
Then Sean had 2 classes with
NJM. He is Marco Friziani, also known as Not Just Mecha. He's actually one of my favorite YouTube painters. I really love his technique and styling, and I really do imitate him quite a bit when I'm painting my own models. So it's really cool to get to meet him in person and get to see his techniques in person. His classes are very much in practical theory. So if that's something that interests you, you would love his classes. If you're looking for more practical applications, you probably want to look somewhere else. If you want to know everything about color theory and stuff, that guy knows his stuff.
Yes, he was very well educated in all of those things. Like he could talk and talk and talk about all those things.
And then on a Friday, I didn't play in the doubles, so I had some free time. So I actually jumped into an RPG. I played some role playing game, and it was pretty cool. It's been a while since I played. I know they changed a lot of additions, so it was sort of interesting to see how the game plays again. And it was nice getting into a little bit of a quieter area because that hall definitely gets a bit of a buzz. So it was nice being in a more quiet, relaxed area.
Were you in like a private room, or was it like how we have at some other cons where there's like 6 or 7 other round tables?
I think there was 3 games going on, but nobody like it was all I could easily hear everyone just at a
Well, that's good because usually
conversation.
you get like that one loud table that kind of ruins your game sometimes.
No, everybody had the same energy in there, and it was
That's
like
good.
excited but mellow.
Good. That's a good time when you don't have somebody ruining the vibes of like what if you're trying to do something dark and scary and the table across from you screaming and yelling about something goofy,
Absolutely.
that can be tough sometimes.
But it was a good 4 hours of playing a Blood Angel, taking on some cultists. So it was a good time.
We definitely packed our schedule pretty hard.
Yeah, I would say we packed our schedules a little bit too
Yeah.
much. I
Yep, I
mean,
think that's a lesson learned.
I brought all our podcasting equipment and all our mics and everything so that we could do a live broadcast or two from AdeptiCon. And we were packed from sunup till 10 o'clock or later every single night.
Yeah. I mean, there was literally like time to eat, and then it was like, we got to go to bed, man. We're
And we
Speaking
got to
of,
be up in 6 hours.
there was barely time to eat because by the time we got done, everywhere was closed.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Milwaukee is a very strange city because it seems like after 9 o'clock, their kitchens just shut down.
Yeah, I went out one night with a couple of buddies. The other two had gone to bed, so I went out with them. We had to travel to 5 different like bar restaurants, and we got turned away at every single one because we wanted food. And every single one of them was like kitchen closed. And eventually we got tired of it. We're like, hey, who isn't closed right now? Do you have any idea who we can go to? And it just turns out like as we were going down the line, the next one was like, oh, it's open till 11. So the Milwaukee Brat House, I believe, is where I went. That place is the best food I had all weekend, and their kitchen was open late.
You're gonna say that that was better than Mater's the first night?
Yeah, like 1,000 fucking percent.
Okay, well, you're just not as much of a fan as Authentic.
No, I also, then that's what I'll say too is that I'm not a fan of what is served at Mater, so that's why it is not my favorite. But I had multiple burgers and multiple cheese curds from different places all weekend, and the Milwaukee Broad House was vastly superior to any other place I went to.
And since we're
And
doing chat,
they had those grapefruit beers I like.
well, they had the Schaff. Well, that whole row of restaurants are all German restaurants, so that does
Yeah, but
not.
nobody else has it.
That is
Every
weird.
everywhere else I went, I looked for it, and they were the only ones that actually had it.
Well, I'm glad you were able to track it down. The only
Right?
other restaurant I'll give us a shout out to was State Street Pizza because they were also the only other place that wasn't the Brat House that was open past 11 for us.
The
And it
owner
was
was awesome.
good.
The
Yeah,
owner
the
was,
owners are a really cool dude. Pizza was great.
Gary got into a fight with a robot.
Yeah.
Me and him were best friends. He was patting me on the back.
They had a robot waiter at that restaurant, and it just kept on running into Gary with our food. And Gary's like, "Hey, what's up?" He's like, "Oh, it's our food."
Convention food wise, it was neat that they had a bunch of different kinds of food. So you get like sushi and Chinese food, and you get all your usual like chicken tenders and pizza and the usual stuff. But they had a lot of like separate food vendors that were outside of the hall. That was like really great. I hate getting just the chicken tenders and the awful burgers from the like little concession stand. So that was really good.
Yeah, I
I,
especially
that's
appreciated that because our lunches were cut down to a half an hour.
Yeah, that was when it comes to the time, like I said, our time was so packed. When we got lunches, it was just like hoover that shit down. You got to go. There was no time. I didn't even get into the exhibit hall to look around until Sunday, basically. I had like very little time here and there, but I never got to actually look till Sunday. Overall, like the exhibit hall itself, a much better place. Me and Sean went last year to the previous place that in Chicago. It's not in Chicago, but
It's oh man, now you're making Schaffberg or
yeah,
something
something
like
like it,
that.
whatever it is. But like I did like that old hotel and I did like that scene, but definitely outgrew it. This new place is like a legit convention hall. Our hotels were connected. That was all great. I think it's a big improvement. I really like the place. There was a lot of space. I never felt crowded when it comes to like playing games and stuff because I feel like sometimes when I go to these conventions, you're a little packed, a little too tight. I didn't have that feeling at all here.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is that it actually was so spread out, which was such a you know it was so different from last year where everything was just on top of it,
Right.
everything else, that we didn't even see where half the other gaming halls were until Sunday.
I didn't even know there was a first floor until I think Saturday when we walked through there randomly. I was like, there's a whole nother thing down here. So that was crazy that there was like 3 levels worth of like playing games and all different game systems where like if you get the time, wander because you're gonna find stuff.
Yeah, because now thinking about it, the floor we were on was nothing but one half was AMG and one half was GW.
Right.
Yeah, and then in between was the vendor hall.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy, but it was really cool. I really liked it. I liked being able to have the connected hotel. So like in case it did rain a couple of days we were there, we don't have to worry about that. We just walk on through. They did have like metal detectors and bag searches, which I understand is like a thing these days and whatnot. But there was my hotel did not have a line. The one that Sean stayed at though, there was at one point the biggest line I had ever seen because they were checking everyone's backpack. And of course, if you're coming to play these games, everyone has a backpack.
So, yeah, about that. So, I was staying at the Hyatt. The Hyatt was the closest hotel to GW events for sure. And if you had a cart and you wanted to go to any of the GW events, it's the most convenient one. However, the only parking garage that was connected to the convention center was also through that same tunnel.
So you got the people that weren't even staying there.
Correct.
Yeah. Just stay at the Hilton. That's where me and Gary stayed. They have dogs. They have hotel dogs. That was really cool.
Stay there as long as you're not parking yourself. There is no on-site parking for that hotel. But if you're
Yeah, well, we definitely flew in and then just took an Uber, but it was a really cool hotel. It looks like the John Wick Hotel is what I thought it looked like.
Continental.
I thought that was really neat. And like I said, they had random dogs for the first day we were there, just wandering around. I thought they were loose.
Yeah, the elevator for the hotel is right next to the
Oh
walkway
yeah,
over
that
to
was
the
also
convention
nice. As soon
center.
as we went through the tunnel, there's our elevator right to our room.
that's
We
pretty
didn't have to
convenient.
we didn't have to go through the hotel like at all. It was so perfectly positioned to like do stuff. It was great. And another thing with that too is a lot of these cons, the hotel or like the elevators going up and down, especially like Nova's really bad about it. I think AdeptiCon was pretty bad about it at some points where there's so many people going up and down, especially during like before tournaments or when you're trying to check out and stuff. I didn't have that problem at all.
Actually, now did I this year.
That was great. That's like super refreshing to not have that issue.
Speaking of issues, though, what we did have an issue was something that we preached on this podcast before, which was if you get the premium ticket, bring an extra bag for all the swag you will have. And we did not have enough room for the swag. I had to give away half of my swag in order to get home.
Yeah, I mean, we took extra bags. We flew Southwest to have extra bags that were empty, and like still ran into problems because GW was gracious enough to give everyone a Skaventide, which is very, very generous and very cool. But try putting that in your suitcase, and then add on top of that all the other stuff they gave away. Plus, that box weighs a ton, so like you can only have 50 pounds of weight in your bag.
Yeah, or else it's another $150.
Yeah, so like that's a heavy box. You got that big old rule book in there.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
swag bags were fucking killer though, man. They're
Yeah.
if you guys are going and you're thinking about going, pay that extra money. You're gonna get 3 times your value out of that.
More than that, it's only $100 more. And make sure you know that, tickets always go on sale on a Monday.
Yeah, and like
No.
AMG is super, super generous with their stuff. I mean, I got stuff for Legion, Shatterpoint, MCP, and not like little things either. They were like full, I got a Inhumans affiliation box out of it. I got a Shatterpoint crew out of it. I got the new like crab droids from for Legion. Like, they're all $60, $75 boxes.
Yeah, the AMG stuff that we got actually, and I was making a joke, and I guess you didn't even catch on it. I was making a joke that the tickets do always go on sale on a Sunday. I was making a joke because I actually still want the premium tickets, and they do sell out really quick.
Yeah, they definitely do sell out. You got to be there like pretty quick to get them.
But
We were definitely scared at some points when we were getting our tickets that we weren't getting them.
yeah, I think when I finally got my ticket, there was like
Yeah, you
20
were the
left.
last one.
But the Skaventide alone retails at 200, and you're only paying $100 for the extra stuff. All the AMG stuff that was in my swag bag was all stuff that was only released that weekend.
Yeah, I think so I got the Andor Shatterpoint box. I don't even think that's out yet.
I got the Kirk, and I don't think that's out yet either.
Yeah. So that's really cool. AMG definitely like, really goes in for Adepticon and for the people playing. So that's really cool of them. Hotel was great, exhibit hall is great. I don't really have much. You know what's one thing I will warn everybody? I had this issue, and I don't know if this is just a me issue. Milwaukee is outrageously dry.
Yeah, no,
It
my hands were
rained
trapping.
It rained for multiple days, but it is like that rain does not settle in the air at all. It was rough on your sinuses. That was my one complaint. I'm bringing in a humidifier next year.
Good luck getting any swag back.
Well, I mean, we're not gonna have free bags anyway,
Oh,
so
that's true. That's true.
yeah, Southwest.
Mailing it back next year.
Yeah, next year's gonna have to be mailing. But if you have sinus issues and whatnot, I'm telling you, it's a rough go. I think it's the city. I don't think it's just the hotel. I think it's just a different place, I guess.
I mean, we live in a swamp for
We do. If you don't know, we live in Maryland, and Maryland might as well be Louisiana. So
Well,
it's pretty rough sometimes.
I also know a couple of the restaurants were saying like the hotels were still cranking their heat and the weather was in a shift. So I think it was just a matter of the heat was drying everything out.
Yeah, we did have some wacky weather. It was definitely like 65 one day, and like 10 minutes later, it's like 32.
that was so weird being in
It was all over the place.
we were in shorts and a t-shirt one day, and the next day you're like, oh, yeah, funny, a jacket. It's cold
Right?
out here.
I was like, oh, this is really nice out. We were walking out late at night getting pizza, and it's super nice out. We're in shorts, and then the next day we're freezing our butts off. And so yeah, some wacky weather out there. But overall, when it comes to Adepticon itself, I really liked it. I do have like a small issue with the AMG events.
Not just AMG, because I had the same. Like last year, I was able to double dip by playing in the Warhammer singles the first day, and then AMG events the rest of the day. So it is a Adepticon wide issue now.
Gotcha. Well, I think mine's more for just AMG for the timeline specific. I wanted to play 6 rounds. I don't know why. Last year we did 6 rounds. So if I bring 30 models that I've painted, and these are most likely models that I don't normally play with or don't really have painted because timeline cuts down your character roster by so much. So it's a great idea to make you play with all these characters you don't normally play with. I like that. But I traveled all the way there from Maryland with these 30 models, and I used 10, 12 of them because they cut down the rounds from 6 rounds to 3. So you only play each of your timeline rosters once. That sucks.
I mean, it does. And think about this: I had to travel with all those models, and I didn't get to play with any of them
Yeah.
because last year the singles event was one day, the doubles event was another day, timeline event was another day, and they were all separate things. And yeah, they were up to 8 round events, and they took the entire day, but that was fine because it was just that event was that day, and that's what you committed to.
I felt like you knew you were getting into that too. So it's like you knew that was going to be all day. But the weird part is like, so you do the singles events and you're like, all right, well, we're going to cut it off and we're going to do the rest tomorrow. But why? It's not like we're trying to give people time in the hall, because by the time the singles event was over, the hall's closed.
The only thing I could think of is that people were complaining about last year not having enough time to go to dinner and not having any time to take painting classes because all the painting classes run at night.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like that's just something that you would have to be like, all right, I'm going to play in singles, but if I want to do this, it means I can't play in like the affiliation, which is just like when we're doing stuff. It's like I can't play in everything. I got to pick and choose what I want to play in.
Yeah.
But
And
then I
I
think,
prefer taking that approach rather than this, like, events are split across multiple days.
right, that's the other thing too, is that like, if you're in the singles and you make cut just means you can't play in timeline. You can choose, do you want to play in timeline or do you want to play in cut? And it's like, well, that's unfortunate because now I brought 30 models for nothing.
But I mean, it gets even worse than that, right? So they cut the top 32. Then if you made top 32, which is frankly, it's not that impossible to do with between two heats, be in the top 16.
Mm.
And then if you make top 8 out of that top 32, now you can't even play an affiliation because you have now drained 3 of your days to
Right.
just playing singles.
Right. Yeah. I also was like under the impression that AMG was really pushing timeline, and I'm just wondering, like, did we change our minds? And
I think
if
they
you
did.
did, that's fine. I just kind of want to hear it that like, timeline didn't go exactly how we hoped it had gone, and we're putting a bigger focus on the singles worlds event.
So my take is that they thought timeline would be a great way of fixing the balance issues within the game, and I agreed 100% with them when they originally did timeline because they took all the big guys out. It was great the first year that we ran it.
Yes, I think first timeline years of like choices for characters was perfect in a way where it was like, this is fun.
The issue is a lot of people complained about one having to spend that amount of money on 30 models, which is like, I mean, I get it. They're playing MCP and they're not playing Warhammer, but get over it. Like,
Right.
people play Warhammer and pay way more money for their armies than 30
We're in the
dudes.
hobby of disposable plastic miniatures.
Yes. There's also was a unfounded amount of complaints, and I've seen this in the community, and I'm kind of tired of hearing it. Is there is a large percentage of players, especially in the top meta players, that don't like the hobby aspect of this game at all, and would prefer the models just come pre-painted and pre-assembled, and they just want to play the game itself.
I mean, I guess it's like to each their own kind of thing, but if they came like WizKids Hero Click style, no thanks.
Well, I'm with you on that too. The hobbying is part of the game, and just hearing people complain about the idea that they don't want to paint 30 models, it's not that outrageous in amount and quantity, especially if you know 4 months ahead of time, which you do because you signed up for the event at AdeptiCon 4 months before going to AdeptiCon.
Right.
It's funny. See, like I'm the opposite. I've heard that from a lot of like newer people that are coming into this from like the comic side of things that aren't really like everyone that's come into it from like, a competitive point from like War Machine or something like that. I think is pretty used to the hobby aspect. I think it's more the people that come in from, comics or maybe even Hero Clicks or something like that who's just like, what is this? I don't want to put my models together. Like I don't want to paint them. Like I just want to play the game.
Right.
Yeah, I've heard it from a lot of Guild Ball players, to be honest with you.
They should be used to it.
Don't worry, AMG won't abandon you like Steamforge did. I think though the nice part about like MCP is when you're doing 30 models, this is where I struggle in the hobby aspect of things, and this is why I basically never have a completed Warhammer army, is painting the same thing over and over. Like even for a smaller, let's say you use War Machine, you still have to paint a unit of like 10 guys. I struggle with the repetitive painting thing, and I think that's why MCP is like my favorite game because every model I paint is completely unique, and I basically don't ever have to paint that. And I mean, granted, you're gonna have multiple Spider-Mans and multiple Captain Americas, but outside of like they're all in different poses and they're all in different uniforms. So in reality, you're not painting the same thing.
And if you have to mix a paint to get a specific color, you don't have to worry about that mix ever again.
No, because those two Peter Parkers, as of right now, are not going to be on the board together. So you don't have to have things match. Your squad or roster doesn't have to be uniform, and I think that really stands out to me for the game. I really like that aspect of stuff. So I think that's all of our stuff for like Adepticon and stuff. Would we recommend Adepticon?
Absolutely.
Yeah, no question about it. Like
No question.
even with the little bit of critiques we had, it's still an amazing. And this is coming from somebody. I've been to LVO, I've been to Gen Con, I've been to Nova, I've been to Atlantic City, Richmond, Adepticon. This was my first time, and it's by far the best.
Right. Yeah, I have to agree. I still think Adepticon is by far the best miniatures con there is.
It's the only one that touches on all aspects of both the
Right.
gaming facet and the hobbying facet.
Right. And they always have a really great exhibitor hall that stands out compared to a lot of the other places. I felt like LVO had no exhibitor hall. Nova's is a little on the small side, and they really bring it for this one. Like people come out of the people you wouldn't even think would show up, to be there and show you all these things you've never seen before. Like there's so many painting companies, airbrush companies, model companies. Like it's great. You can spend a lot of money like really quick. So I think that covers all of our sweet, sweet Adepticon adventure. We also had a couple of listener questions come in. Gary, you want to handle them listener questions?
Absolutely. So the first listener question from a friend of the channel, Big Al. So his listener question is Thor 2 still worth 6 threat after his nerf? And this is both in affiliation, splash, like is that character still worth his 6 points?
I think in affiliation, yeah, but outside of affiliation, I feel like I just take Jane.
Yeah, what I was going to say is Thor took a nerf by losing one threat.
Yeah, Jane is very, very good, and I don't know why I would pay one extra threat to take Thor 2 instead. I think in affiliation is fine because you have Odin's Rainbow Bridge. You have those things that could kind of work with him, but if you're just going straight outside of affiliation, I think I like Jane better.
I really think that range change hurt Thor.
But yeah, and that the still having the range 3 on Jane, like that's why we put her in our Dark Dimension doubles. It's just first turn, go.
Yeah,
And she's just a freight train.
in the first game of the top 32, I was playing against Asgard, and there was twice where his Thor was just out of range too, and he was like, "Man," he goes, "This nerf is killing me." I was like,
I had the exact same thing happen in a timeline. My first match was Asgard, and he went to measure, and he did the exact same thing. He put down the 3, and I was like, "Oh no, buddy, not anymore."
yeah. So
Also, it's one less dice.
yeah.
Right.
I think across the board, I think Thor 2, he was probably just over before the nerf, and now after the nerf, he's under that line, and there's too much competition.
There's just more competition coming out. I'm not going to say Phoenix is that competition, but I'm interested to get more games with Gladiator.
I also think
I think I'm the only one who played with Gladiator this weekend.
You are, yeah. So Tuesday before the convention, we got our Gladiator packs and our Inhumans packs, and I literally painted everything so that way we could play in Timeline, and didn't get to play in Timeline. So I'm extra salty about not playing in Timeline.
I played Gladiator, and he is pretty effing cool. Like, he's a lot of fun to play. I think the token mechanic, I think this is one of the, if not the best token mechanic they've like figured out how to balance. I think it's a very fair mechanic because they're very easy to get rid of, but they're also pretty easy for him to gain at the same time.
Yeah, and
I really like it.
I do have to give a big thank you to Sean because, while I was invoking the luck on my dice playing with Black Order in our most recent battle report, Sean was behind the scenes at his little paint shop painting my Gladiator for Adepticon. So I do appreciate that.
I didn't have to pay mine, I just used Sean's.
Yeah.
I last minute switched out Ronin for my Guardians list and put in Gladiator. So for my timeline, I played Gladiator, Cosmic Ghost Rider, Beta Ray Bill, and Star Lord.
God, that's dumb.
That's pretty nasty. I still lost.
Well, only because he had, what, 2 models left, and you ran out of time, and he's like,
We
well,
ran
I'm
out of
up on
time. If I would have had
points.
one more turn, if we had started the round, because the judge literally walked right over and we had just finished adding it up, and he goes, "All right, finish this round." I was like, "Oh, sweet, we got one more round left. I'm going to table him." And he's like, "Well, we haven't started the round yet." "Oh, don't start one." Well, crap, I lost, and I didn't have anybody even dazed.
All right.
So.
So for our second listener question, by the way, we appreciate that, Big Al. You're great with your questions, and we look forward to you keeping them coming. Our second listener question comes from Michael R., friend of the channel from up north. And by up north, I mean, a couple hours. Question is, would a Spider-Verse tactics card that allows multiple Peter Parkers be broken, or would it not be that useful?
This card is the one card I have wanted for the entire time. Like, as soon as I knew we had multiple like Peter Parkers, and when that Scarlet Spider pack came out, we saw there was a card named Clone Saga. I would have bet any amount of money that that is what that card was going to do. That was going to be the first and only card that was going to allow you to play multiple aliases of the same person.
Perfect artwork for it already exists.
Right. If anybody's going to do it, it's going to happen to Spider-Man. Because there's so many instances of having like multiple Peter Parkers and stuff. I mean, there's a whole, giant storyline based around it. We have the Spider-Verse movies, and I can't believe it's not already a thing. Would it be broken? I don't really think so.
I mean, just thinking of it right now, I don't think it'd be completely busted. Now, if it only works on Peter, right? That's how we're taking this.
That's how I would assume it is. We're only using it for Peter.
Because if it works on Miles, depending on how Ultimate Spider-Man comes out, that might be pretty busted.
Yeah, but with like Peter Parker right now, you have the 3-cost one and the 5-cost one are really, really good.
And then you have one that no one takes and no one cares
Right, then you have
about.
the 4-cost one that's like, nah, whatever. But yeah, I want that card. I want that to be a thing in this game. I want Peter Parker also to be the only one. I don't want it to be a general card that says like into the multiverse and it allows you to take like Red Skull 3 and Red Skull 2 because
God, no.
yeah, exactly. Like it just can't happen.
Or both the Hulks.
Right. These are things that you can't do. It obviously would ruin the game.
And I feel like I want to throw up now.
But if you were to do it just for Peter Parker the way it should be, I think it's fine. I don't think it hurts anything. And I even think you could add another Peter Parker, like another 4-cost down the road. It still doesn't ruin the game. Because in reality, all the Web Warriors are kind of similar. So taking 4-cost Peter Parker with 3-cost Peter Parker is that much different than taking like Ben Reilly?
Yeah, who are you going to take out? You're going to take out Black Cat, you're going to take out Gwen, you're going to take out Miles. Like, somebody's leaving the game for
Right.
another Peter Parker to come in.
Well,
Right.
and I'll also throw out that, I mean, I played Web Warriors for at least a year straight there. Your tactics card slots are not as flexible as you would want them to be. Like, going down to 4 cards is not something you want to do. So even if the card did exist, you would probably never play it. And
Yeah,
you just
but it'd
take
be
Black Cat or someone else as your other 3.
I
but it
think
would be a fun card.
It would be a fun card, but you know what else would be good about it is it would basically allow you to. So we're taking, let's call it Clone Saga, is the card that allows us to take multiple Peter Parkers. It would allow you to play like 5-cost Peter, 3-cost Peter, but then when you go to play like Cat and Mouse, or is that what it's called? That's not what it's called.
A Mouse and the Spider. Or the Cat and the Spider.
Cat and Spider.
So if you were
Cat
going
and
to play
Spider.
Cat and the Spider, the nice part about it taking up your slot is that Cat and the Spider now doesn't just affect one character. You can choose because it says Peter Parker. So in reality, if like it doesn't work out on your 3-cost, you can still use that card on your 5-cost. So it does make your other tactics cards more valuable.
Could you imagine how excited the Green Goblin player would be?
If you ran into a Spider-Foe player and he has all 3 Peter Parkers.
I feel like that's when you don't put it on the table.
I would do it just to make his day.
I wish more people had. I get it. It's not very good for like balancing and stuff, but I really like the Nemesis system. That would be something I wish we had more of.
Yeah, is that the only character that has that?
Carnage has it against Venom.
Right, because you see those two on the table together a lot.
Right, exactly. I don't know. I mean, you might. You know what would be a really curious thing about that too is Carnage is definitely primed for some kind of update.
For sure.
So when they update him, do they just remove that altogether? Now they did update Goblin at one point, and they did not remove it. So
I think that's so ingrained in Goblin though that
yeah, but I like that system. So HeroClix has that system, and they put like these special color rings around their HeroClick models. And if you have the same colored ring, you're a nemesis, and you can't play together. Yeah, which I didn't know, but I played a HeroClix tournament one time, and I pulled a Maximus the Mad, and I pulled Black Bolt, and they had the same color rings, but I didn't know that's what that meant. So I ended up playing with them. Like, you can't do that. They're nemesises. And I was like, oh, okay. Oops.
they're Nemesi.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. But I think that's like a really cool, little extra mechanic. But I do get that that can be problemsome in like a competitive. It's fun for like story wise and stuff, but I think it can be an issue at some points.
So I think for Michael's question, the answer is a resounding. We do not think it would be broken, and it would be a very fun addition to the game, and hopefully they do it one day.
That's definitely been a card that's been like every time I see it. And I also thought that card would come out in this. It didn't come out with Ben Riley. And then when they started showing off the Spider-Verse character pack, I was like, ooh, maybe this is the time.
There's no Peter in that set.
There's no Peter, but it doesn't mean that there still couldn't be a card. But yes, I kind of thought we were going to get like older man Peter that has like the baby carrier.
I was about to say, you
Not
Dad
with,
Peter.
yeah. I thought we were going to get Dad Peter in the set instead of like, I would have never guessed Prowler. So I thought we were going to get a Peter Parker, a Miles, Noir, and Spider Ham. I was really hoping we didn't get Penny because I don't really care for Penny. So I'm glad that's not in there. But I thought that was another opportunity for us to get a Spider-Verse card that would allow us to play multiple Peter Parkers. And then that gives you like an excuse to release another Peter Parker so you can play that as like an affiliation.
The Peter affiliation.
Yeah, well, you could play Web Warriors, but it's like just all Peters. Also, I
Yeah.
wish we'd call it Spider Friends.
And since we're on the discussion of the Web Warriors, thanks to Michael, I have my Crossroads quiz for the session.
Shit, I didn't even know we were
Damn.
doing it.
Here we go. How many models have the wall crawler ability?
Wow. Okay, that's gonna be high.
48.
Well, I'm gonna go higher than that. I'm gonna say 56.
The answer is 26.
Wow, that is not. That's way lower than I thought it was gonna be. I guess more people have fly than I thought.
And you know what drives me crazy? Black Cat does not have it, but Sandman does.
I know Black Hat does not have it. It's
fucking,
infuriated me many a times.
Fucking Ghost Rider has Wall Crawler.
Ghost Rider. You know, that's another character that could do multiverse. Is Frank?
What do you mean? Like you could just play two Franks?
Yeah, you said Ghost Rider, right?
Yeah.
So you could play Cosmic and Ghost Rider next to each other.
Well, Cosmic and regular Ghost Rider are two different people.
Oh, they are two different people. Okay, I've
Yeah,
never seen.
regular Ghost Rider is Johnny Blaze. Cosmic Ghost Rider is Frank Castle.
Okay, you know what?
Then-
I just assumed that they were the same character. I'd never
No,
actually read
no.
it.
So Ghost Rider works like how Phoenix does, where the spirit of vengeance inhabits somebody, and then you become the Ghost Rider.
Say Ghost Rider has wall crawler?
I thought he did.
No,
I
he
thought
does not.
he has flight, doesn't he?
He has flight, yeah.
Whatever.
Just Cosmic has flight. I don't
Yeah,
think
Cosmic has. I thought regular Ghost Rider had wall crawler.
regular has nothing.
Oh, okay. Well,
He can just. He has a long move place though, so he can just get around it using
Right.
that.
well, Quicksilver has wall crawler.
Yes.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense.
There's a couple that are weird that have it, but I feel like there's more that don't have it, and you're like, why don't you have that?
Yeah. Like I can see a lot of the reason of why a lot of them have it.
King T'Challa does not.
No. But Chosen of Bass does.
Right? But I don't think regular Black Panther does either.
No, Chosen of
No,
Bass is the only
just
one.
the Bast one.
Yeah, so those are the ones that are like weird, where you're like, I don't really know what we're doing here.
Shadowland Daredevil does.
So does regular Daredevil.
Yeah. Squirrel Girl does.
Keep on forgetting she's even a character.
Yeah. I kind of hope she gets a little bit of a rework because I do like her model and I like some of the stuff on her card. She just suffers from the problem of like there's other options and she only has two affiliations. She has the Ant-Man problem.
Yes.
Ant-Man I think is a really, really good 3, but he's only in Avengers.
And he gets
And it
overshadowed
kills
so
him.
easily.
Yeah, he's just the splash ability is like there's so many other thieves that are really good to splash in, or you just have those splash spots for like Red Skull 2 because he's amazing. 26, a lot less than I thought. I was going pretty high there because I was like, there's got to be a lot of characters I wasn't thinking of.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking as well. But
And there's a lot of characters that you would think have it that don't.
at least 20.
Yeah. Well, there's like how many characters are there?
200 and
Yeah.
it's listed as 222 on Jarvis, but some of them are not released yet.
Right, so 222. That's why I was like, it's got to be like a quarter of it,
That's exactly what I was
kind of
doing. It was a
thing.
quarter of the amount of characters that are released to probably have it. But nope.
Nope, all wrong there. Oh well. Good question. That one got us this time. Usually we're pretty darn close. That was the first one. I think we were both pretty far off. Well, I
Well,
think that is. Go ahead.
I do have one selfish plug I want to throw out there. So
Shit.
we are going to start doing live streaming of tournaments for MCP. We have our first one scheduled on April 12th from Titan Games and Hobbies, and we will also be streaming from the Richmond Open on I think it's May.
That sounds right.
So stay tuned if you want to see some live tournaments.
We also have open slots for that April 12th tournament here coming up. We still have, I think, about 10, maybe 8 slots left. It'll be a pretty big event. We have a maximum of 32 people. So if you are looking to come down, join us, check out the circuit I've talked about before. This will be a great time. Lots of new people, lots of, regulars, beginners to veterans. It's all skill levels. I guarantee you'll have a fantastic time. And you get to come out and meet us, which is always great. So it'll be great to see more people, more new faces.
See my dice rolls in person.
That's true. You can come out and see Gary's dice rolls, and maybe he'll let you search for that horseshoe.
It's up there pretty deep. So
Somewhere you just have to find it. Next Crossroads quiz. Where's the horseshoe? I'm gonna get one. Like your next jersey is getting a horseshoe on it.
Hidden somewhere.
Yeah, you're gonna be
It's
like
hidden somewhere, yeah.
the Christmas tree. When they hide the pickle.
I never heard of that.
You ever heard of that? It's like I don't know. It's a tradition in some family circles where you take like a pickle ornament and you hide it in the tree, and whoever finds it gets like the pickle prize. It is a thing. I'm not just making it up.
Okay, I'm glad it's an ornament and not a real pickle.
No, it's
That
not a
just-
real pickle. Anyone out there who knows about the pickle ornament and the Christmas thing, also comment and tell them I'm not fucking insane.
You know what? Hell, you get 2 entries into the contest if you comment about the
You
pickle.
go. If you have a pickle ornament, post it. Prove it's true.
You could have just went with Where's Waldo.
Yeah. No, I like the pickle. I like that people are searching you though, like you're a Christmas tree looking for the horseshoe.
All right.
So that's going to be on your next jersey. And I think with that, we are all set for our part 2 of our Adepticon adventure. And I'm going to read the outro as soon as I fucking pull the screen back up.
He was Googling for pickles.
No, I pulled up the, I keep accidentally hitting the Google Drive itself instead of hitting the actual episode.
Gotcha.
I do that all the time.
Gotta leave that in.
Target Acquired Podcast is brought to you by Game Chefs, your ultimate destination for all things tabletop. Whether you're looking for a new exciting board game, assembling your squad for Marvel Crisis Protocol, or building the perfect Warhammer army, Game Chefs has everything you need: miniatures, dice, rulebooks, and the best community of gamers around. And just for you, our amazing listeners, Game Chefs is offering 15% off your next purchase. Just use the code TAG, that's TAG202, gamechefs.org, and save on your next adventure. Roll some dice and level up your game at Game Chefs. Link and code can be found in the description. That concludes this episode of a Target Acquired podcast. See ya!